What a sick fuck.
The hardest 3 thrusts. Dude, I'm tripping my balls off.
Come to my house telling me to shut the fuck up and then telling me to reel it back in. Welcome to Agro Labs Podcast. My name is Cameron, and today with me, I got a special person here, someone I've been waiting a long time for. And what's up, Jacob?
How's it going, Cam? Really excited. You know, I feel like we're in a Penn suite. You know, I got that vibe, the cigars, the matches. And, you know, it's been a shitty day, like last couple of days, but it's a good day. You know.
Yeah, man. I know the feeling. Those Sunday for me is like the day where like I gotta get everything done before Monday comes around. I gotta do all the laundry and all the cleaning, and I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, it just depends, you know. I like my life. Like sometimes I'm working, sometimes I'm chilling. Sometimes I'm chilling on a Tuesday, like it's a Sunday. Sometimes I'm working on a Sunday, like it's a Monday. Like today, yeah, I had to go to work. I had to answer all these, just tedious stuff. We had to get done, you know. Then I'm here, you know. It's like you got 14 projects and then you don't complete any of them. You know, it's always, you know, crazy.
The projected outcome.
Yeah. I'm a fresh iron these clothes. You know, you don't even get socks washed.
So when I was thinking about sitting down doing this podcast with you, I was astounded when I started to look up certain things. And the most astounding to me was the recidivism rate of criminals. Right?
Yeah. So
for minor offenses, people recidivize, right? Through 6 months to 2 years, 50.8% of the time.
I believe it. Yeah.
And for me, if you're anything like me, which I know a little bit about you, so I know you are, that rang so fucking true in my life.
Yeah. And you know, I think the recidivism, you know, right, just saying, you know, people are listening, that's like a hard word. That took me like 4 years. If my life depended, I couldn't even spell recidivism. But
I still can't.
Yeah, I always have that fear, like I'm going to spell it, because something got guts in my head, like, oh shit. Recidivism is, you know, somebody returning back to prison in 3 years. So it's crazy, like so many people have a view on the system, like it's people are getting arrested for, like, you know, nothing, which is true, but that's not even like one part of the piece, you know, that's happening. So somebody gets out of prison, you know, they got probation. I know in Lucas County, you know, just Toledo, I've done a lot of like community stuff, and I'm like a big number person. Like people just can't be saying shit to me. You know what I mean? Like everybody's a heroin addict. It's like, name them. You know what I mean? Like you know, all my friends. Like what? Oh, you know, you have 10. You know, like Jesus Christ. But you know, Lucas County, 85% went back to prison for a technical violation, which is not committing a new crime. That's like smoking weed on probation. Could be not getting your GED. I mean, could be going on the run, you know, but you know, generally, I don't think a lot of people are going back for like new crimes. It's just like the stipulations, you know, that are set in place. Not saying like you shouldn't be able to do them or like it's not possible or something, but it's like, you know, I would say the main areas people need help with is housing, employment. Then I would say mental health and substance abuse treatment, because people are like, why? Like I always have a ass backwards approach to treatment. You know, like people go, like they'll call a detox center. Like we're going to make sure they're serious and call them back 3 days later. Like me, I'd rather like prove me wrong. You know, I bring people in, immediately fix their needs, get them all their shit together, then to start doing the counseling. Because you can't even have effective counseling, in my opinion, until like you have that shit back. Because you're not gonna think right. Like, why are people committing these crimes? Like, why are people doing drugs? Like on paper, it makes no sense, you know. But in reality, it's I would say it's set up to get you, but it's real hard. So you know, a lot of my work, instead of just like speaking in theory, just been kind of like just getting out there and just doing it, you know. Just looking messy and stuff like that.
You know, you were talking about that 85%, and so those were like, you're talking about the terms of probation. And so what took me a long time to realize is like parole, you don't break parole unless like you're caught for another crime or something, and the parole is more stringent, right? But probation, they can violate you
Yeah.
for not getting your GED, for not following the terms of probation, and they can send you away, immediately. And I think people, if they don't seek those services you were talking about, get stuck in that fucking cycle where, hey, I got to do this stuff, I got to do this, but I also am struggling with substance use.
Yeah.
And how am I ever going to stop using drugs, get my GED, follow through with paying off fines, work this job? And it comes down to their life is just so unmanageable at that point once the court gets involved.
Yeah. It's always like the iceberg thing, the 90% you see what's going on, In my experience, I was on both. You are right. Like parole, in my experience working with not everybody, I know fantastic parole officers that do everything above, but like what I would see is like they're not worried about you smoking weed, they're worried about you doing violent crimes. They know like if you get back on heroin, you're not going to church. Like you're not doing shit like that, It's like they're like, okay, now you're a danger to society. Plus they overload it, like you go see it, like they don't even know your name half the time. They don't even know your story, and then you can't like really like in counseling. You could be like, yeah, I'm struggling with this, but PO, you might get locked up.
Yeah.
Like in my case, I was living in my wife now. I was living in low income apartments. I couldn't like legally even fucking live in, And
CPS found out they'd get you or something, right? Or
what's that?
If CPS or the apartment complex would find out, they'd kick you out
immediately. Yeah, and like my wife would have like eviction on her record. We were good people, but just had a child. We couldn't afford a lot of places. I was going to school, and I had to do like community service hours, which is cool, but they only gave me like 3 weeks to do 100 hours. And they thought I was bullshit as a person. I was like, yeah, I'm going to college. I was working at a gas station, a pizza place in Humana. Yeah, I just got into the field, like speaking to kids. I guess it'd be like a peer supporter, like a tech or like something of that nature. And my PO did not believe me. And they were ready to violate me. Like I remember having a meeting with like the head honchos, and I had to bring up my PO Amanda Wilson. She was like when I was at high risk. Like it was a motto. I don't know if they still do this, but I was at high risk. Like I had to drop twice a week, and she did not play, But I needed that. She was real cool, She came in kind of like advocated for me, like, oh, he is doing these things, and like. But like I could have went to a violation. The judge don't really like nobody believes you, but it's kind of set up like there is nothing there, So like to me, opportunity is always created, So I started seeing shit like this, and just started creating doing the programs, then get it moving.
Yeah, I've been to jail and court multiple times, and for me, it was a feeling of hopelessness when I'm looking at my court fines and trying to get a driver's license.
Yeah.
But what I was also lacking for a long time, because I ran away from those problems for a long time, right? I just was like, all right, fuck it, violate me, give me a warrant, catch me when you can.
Never gets better.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just spinning my wheels, right?
Yeah.
And but what started helping me out is just being like willing. Like, all right, let's get a a low paying job somewhere where I can take a bus to.
Where was it at? What was your first low paying job?
My first, I was 14. I worked at Del Taco back when Del Taco was on Secor.
Secor?
Yeah.
Was that the shittiest? I made that one time.
They got really good cheeseburgers, which is weird.
Nope, never got just straight taco.
Yeah, the tacos are cheap and jank, but if you get a cheeseburger from there, it's like $5. It's a good cheeseburger.
Yeah, damn, didn't know that. Okay, yeah. Minimum wage jobs are fun. I had a bunch of them.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? It's but for me, I always wanted that success, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted, and it was really weird because I wanted that success when I was like strung out and living on the streets. But it's
okay. People have it. Yeah.
Yeah, and. So I remember I finally decided, like, all right, I'm going to do something about this.
Yeah.
And I used to take the bus to Electroprime.
Yeah.
And work at Electroprime for $9 an hour for backbreaking.
You might be lying. I don't even think it was $9.
Yeah, it was like $8.75 or something. Who knows? But But that little mode put me in a mode and propelled me forward to start paying off some court fines, to start doing the right things. And, because I really wasn't scared of county jail or the judge, or, I was.
It would just say shit like that, but that's not really what we mean. Like we're more comfortable in that. Like I'm more uncomfortable around like people like that than I am at first, like the judges and the like the count. Like I used to hate like social workers and stuff like that. Like I was even if you were cool, I was like, you're still a police officer, you're a counselor,
Yeah, no, authority figures for me, it doesn't matter what an authority figure would say to me, even if it made sense, even if it was logical, even if they were right, I would have to go against it. Yeah, I'd be like, fuck that.
Yeah, I'm still like that. I'm working on it though. Maybe about 30, I'll get it together.
I think when you were talking also about like, people getting into services and how you were doing it backwards. And as I was listening to you talk, it made sense to me because like one of the biggest things that I see in the highest levels of care, like detox or something like that, or a hospital setting, right? Yeah. Getting people to just even enter in treatment when they should be in treatment, or when they're in a program or they're in jail, they're incarcerated, but they don't want to go to a program. Yeah. It's because they're not sure if their needs are going to be met by going there. So they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean I have to go to this detox program, but I have a kid, I have, no house, I don't have any money, I don't have anything, how am I going to eat there? Like I've literally had people ask me like, do you guys provide food there?
Which is a good question.
Right. And you said, people say I do it ass backwards, but no, I don't think you do, because how can you counsel someone and help them out when they're terrified and paranoid and scared about their needs being met?
Yeah, and I'll have, not like specific cases, but I'll have like, it's just been weird, like not lately, but like back in the day, I'll have like cases of real life people shooting at each other and shit, and have like street beef, and I'm like counseling. Like both, I'm talking like real gangsters, like really people about like that life. And like, in order for me to help them, I do have to like put them in another area or sometimes settle shit. I've done that, like had to mediate like shit like that. But until, like you said, that paranoia goes down, and really what it is, that feeling of safe. Like if you look at like why we have so many problems today, like a lot of it comes from like safety, like dealing with like as kids, like before the age of 5, you can feel like neglect. Like there's studies done, and again, I might be fucking the study up, but like putting a child there and you leave and come back, and if the child cries too long, they have attachment issues and shit like that. And I'm not saying this leads to full-blown heroin addiction, but like having that trust in other people, especially like if you don't get it from your parents, the people you're supposed to trust, like it really messes your brain, So going back to like food and stuff like that, like nobody, like I remember like that, like nobody gives a fuck about, but like why are you giving me a free cigarette? Like why? Like what's the intention? So when you come from that lifestyle, I expect, like not in a beaver, but I expect my clients to lie. I expect them to bullshit, like. But you treat the diagnosis and not the person. You know what I mean? Like you're not. I'm not treating Cam, I'm treating, bipolar Cam or something, just making shit up, it's like, no, I'm treating a person with bipolar that happens to have that diagnosis, So when people come with addiction, like, I know all that shit, the games, the front, so when people come to me, I don't call them out and they bullshit, build trust, beat all this shit, then we work on shit, then later, but Jake, I was full of shit, like, I know, but that's not my, that's not my job, my job to help you.
It's up to you to be honest. And I'll be honest. I was part of the court system when I was the juvenile system when I was 14, 13.
In Toledo?
Yeah, in Toledo, in Lucas County.
It's rough.
And I'll never forget like cops making fun of me when I was in a holding cell.
Why?
There was a domestic dispute between me and my father.
Oh, yeah. So they're just bullshit?
Yeah, dude, they were just tearing me down as I was in shackles. And then the court ordered me to go through counseling, which for me, how you said, like, I expect my clients to lie to me, right? I've talked about this before. I literally remember looking at that therapist who I didn't want to sit down and talk with because I didn't already trust, because I didn't want to be there. And I looked at him and he, he was a nice guy. And I said, everything I'm going to say to you is a lie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell. I remember at 13 or 14 saying that.
That's even bigger than at 14. You know?
And, you know, for me, when we talk about, you know, mental health, I've worked in mental health, right? With substance use, it goes hand in hand,
Yeah.
Especially in males, you know,
Yep.
Males of, you know, middle age or 20 years old are developing these mental health issues as they're using substances. But, you know, for me, I've never been a part of that mental health field. I see more of the substances.
Yeah.
Do you think that the recidivism rate and criminals as well, criminal behavior has something to do with mental health?
Yeah, not like what people say. Like that's another thing. Like like you see something very traumatic happen, like a crazy shooting or something. People are like, yeah, mental illness, and it's like, yeah, but there's there's millions of people with that fucking diagnosis that are not doing. Like it's deeper than that. I would say in prison, the number one thing you would see is like personality disorders. You know, which are kind of like sociopath disorders. Always wanted to say this, so I am a licensed social worker, so I can't speak on this. You always see the videos like I am not a paid physician. like we fucking get sued like that. Like nobody does that. You know? I don't own the copyright of the music. Anyway, sorry. So you'll see that. I would say like antisocial behavior. So like we were talking, no names in general, but like just people we might have worked with in the past, like they can't function in society. So it makes it real hard. Like on paper, like, yeah, I want to help people with mental illness. But then you got like this antisocial person who, you know, it just like doesn't trust anybody. They act weird. And it's like you're a grown up. But if you look deeper, like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, like being in big or like a in-school suspension, like that behavior started young, you know. Like I started thinking the other day, like on some fun, like, you know, my wife was like, you know, how can you make jumps so fast and shit like that, and I'm just like, you know, just being in in-school suspension and shit, you know, just tearing people up, lighting them up, the airwalk shoes, like it's, you know, torturous. You know, and I got to step back because I'll be lighting people up too much. But you know, you see a lot of that, right? And as men, you know, especially women, I'll get on women. That's a whole nother, like, when I look at women, treat women, it's way different. But men, they don't have emotional like outlets to share shit. Like it's a really weird line. Like I always struggle with that. Like, you know, you have like people that are so far out in left field, like a man, I don't know, we should just all wear dresses and shave our heads or something. Then you got people over here that are like, you know, if a boy cries, you can't even give a hug. You know what I mean? Like it's you got to have a good balance. Like, what's it being a man? But, you know, you got so many years untreated. Then you throw the substance, then you throw all that stuff. My primary care doctor, I'll tell you one thing. This is kind of relates to it, but you know, I was, you know, I suffer with mental illness myself, bad. You know, a lot of people don't ever like let me talk about it. You know, your life's so good or something like that. But you know, my doctor, like when I was young, it was like real young. You know, I was the type of kid like you. I go to these places like Harbor, like I don't know, and you know, I eat up some pills and spit them out. Like, you know, what you gonna do? Like I was that defiant kid. You know, it's like. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like all that shit that we never really solve is still there, right? But you can't just say like tough it out or something like that. I think that's a really bad problem in society because like, you know, you see people on like Instagram and social media and they're like, you know, what doesn't kill me make me stronger. Like fucking God's up there in the picture. Like I hope they get molested and beat up and pissed on and in third grade, so one day they can post on Instagram how fucking strong they are. You know what I mean? Like trauma ain't like that. Like you should attach or detach the trauma. You know, trauma is what it is. It is real. You know, that's like when I work with people, I never tell people like, you know, think positive. That's fucking like, what do you mean think positive? If I'm suicidal, I'm like think positive. 3 seconds later, I'm like, okay, think positive. Fuck, I suck at thinking positive. Piece of shit. I can't even fucking think positive. Piece of shit. It's like that's not what you do with people with mental illness. So what goes on. That would be the cycle of getting worse. And then you do have people who have onset, like you mentioned, like you can't. Some people have bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, and you won't see it until 18, 19 years old, And then, like cocaine and bipolar are not friends, like you see,
not at all, dude.
Like it fucking, and when they get mental health treatment, all we see is like, people trying to get like a strong pill that works immediately. Because that's how the addiction works. You take it, but reality, some mental health medication takes 6 weeks to start, and you need counseling, and you need prayer, and you need support. And, like it's a lot of shit. So, but when you get to the prison system, see, there's a lot of perks for having mental illness. So I always feel like, not always, but the people that need mental health treatment don't get it, and the people that don't need it, they get it. They get all the perks and the programs and shit like that. Plus, jail ain't even like a place to even solve. But yeah, I totally agree. Like untreated mental health would like fill up the prison. I mean, you got to think the psych wards used to be full, and they released everybody, and like we're getting like science is changing when we deal with this shit. Like addiction and mental health, the only field like that for some reason we try not to change. Like imagine we treated fucking diabetes the same way, or like like we just started washing hands while delivering birth 100 years ago. That saved life.
Yeah, and it's really the truth. Like when you look at especially mental health and substance use, I don't think it's really changed. I think people have learned more about it, but I don't think the actual treatment of it has changed for almost 100 years. I really don't. Like other than putting people in lockdown facilities and keeping them in there and away from society, how we treat it is still the same almost, right? There's just new modes or modules that come out that people try to use on specific clients or services that you're providing, because not all modules work for the same person, right? Like
no, like going back to that antisocial bit, like I got people that be in groups, and they don't work well in groups, so they're just gonna be a fucking asshole in group, But as a facilitator, you gotta let your pride not get in the way, right? Because that's what they're trying to take on. They're trying to get kicked out. That's their anti-behavior, right?
Yeah.
So it's like.
And then it's, hey, I went there.
Yeah. I
tried to get services.
Yeah.
And these people kicked me out.
Yeah. Cameron, I could write a book about they blaming you for some shit, and it's like I feel like nobody in the field acts like we don't know each other either. That should be funny too. They'd be like, I was like, oh yeah, for real. Cam said that too. He just kicked you out because you showed up 1 minute late. I'm positive.
Yeah.
I'm hearing shit like that. Not saying, sometimes people be true, because I'll be losing my shit sometimes on people, but it's really like getting it into a mindset, like retreating that, still go back to that diagnosis and not the person, because it can get ugly. Like it's like I need long-term wins, not short-term wins. Mm-hmm. Like I could have a short-term win and like shut that person down, call them a fucking idiot, and then they leave and go commit suicide or kill themselves or get high, or it's like that's not effective.
You definitely got to think about what you're saying, because like something that I learned just like stepping into the field is how you present yourself. Right. Mm-hmm. So like I can't help that I'm 6'2", getting close to 300, right?
Tatted and shit.
Tatted, neck tats, hand tattoos. I mean, I could have helped it a long time ago, but it's already said and done, right? So like my posture and my body language changes when I talk to, say, a female client.
Yeah.
Right? Because there might be some trauma in her past.
You gotta like sit down.
I sit down, or if I can't sit down and it's like a hectic situation, I might I might get I might bend my knees.
Yeah.
And so their eyes are taller than my head. Right.
That's smart. Yeah.
And cause like I don't try to be mean, right? But I got a loud voice that carries. So I got to watch how I talk, because like you said, it took me a long time to realize like my actions have repercussions. And it's not even what I did was wrong. It's just how the other person took it. And that's what makes our field so difficult, is that if you work with the capacity of people that we work with, right?
Yep.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It just is, right? We're like cops without handcuffs, right? We're just like, hey, what's going on? I'm the mediator here.
Yeah. No tools. We don't got nothing.
No tools. We just got our mind and communication and language. And so I've definitely, been a part of those barriers, man, and had to deal with them. And it's weird being on the other side because I don't have sympathy, but I have empathy.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good fucking way to put it. Yeah, because sometimes I'm not the type like you have some counselors that are all like, and I'm speaking as people that work with people in trauma, like they're all like old school. I've been robbed 34 fucking times. I've sold so many drugs and like war stories. But I'm more like, I get in there and know people. Like I don't need no group topics or something like that. Like you just have to, like, I don't know, I'm spiritual. Like, nobody comes out and says, "Hey, I am dealing with social skills." And then, I mean, it's like my mom hates me. I got no house. Why should I even live? Shit like that. I try to crack, and I subconsciously know what they're going through. I just don't have to tell them, I always try to make it like in a lesson, like, write something down or speak, because somebody's pain, that's another thing too. Like somebody's pain that they've been through is like their pain. So just because, say you and me experience some abuse, the brain takes it in a different way. Whereas maybe I got over it. Maybe this person's just dealing with it. Like maybe they brave enough to even fucking tell you about it. You just made a stupid ass joke and they don't talk about it. Like, that's the stuff I think, you may have been in some like emotional seminars and stuff like that.
It was rough.
Yeah, that was terrible. My wife thought I was cheating the first time I took it. I was like 24 years old, maybe 23. And I came home. Because the way, and I love them. I never pay attention to shit like I should, because they were like, all I heard was there's some younger people in recovery. So I thought we were speaking to younger people in recovery. Didn't even do my homework or nothing, to show up at this event. And
you came all cheery. You're like, all right, let's get it going.
Yeah, I came home crying. My wife's like, "You were crying? Like, why were you crying?" She never like seen me cry like that. You know what I mean? She's like, "What? Who is this?" Like, I was like, "Oh shit." There's another time too. I ate sushi. My wife thought I was cheating. Those are the only 2 times I feel like I bought some fried sushi, and she was just like, "Why the fuck you get fried sushi?" I was like, "I don't know. I like fried sushi. I eat fried suchi on lunch sometimes. I didn't know how to communicate with you." And I'm like, "Sushi, really?" And I was just thinking like, "No, it's like an inside joke and shit." I'm like, damn. I started thinking, that's where the brain goes.
I was you were talking about men and that standard a little while back about, one side is just like, hey, we should shave our heads and, wear dresses and, we should assert our femininity and it's okay to have feelings, right? It's okay to be who we are. It's okay to feel. And there's this other side, which I think me and you grew up on that side, right?
Yeah.
We grew up on that side of, hey, be a fucking man, boy. Pull your boots up, figure it out, do what you got to do and get it done, right? Because that's what I grew up with consistently.
In sports and everything, like everything, the school system, it seems like it's not saying it's good or bad. It's just, it was just a little different,
And for me, man, when I finally started to like deal with my emotions and feelings, it gave me such like a sense of relief, like knowing like being not okay, is still okay.
How'd you do that though? Like therapy or like what you go through?
It was definitely, so I got really lucky, man, because for a long time I didn't trust the mental health system, man. I didn't trust therapy. I just thought.
See, going back to trust. You see what I'm saying? Like trust is big. Like just remember that. Like PTSD. Like I might have PTSD, but if I trust you, I don't think you're gonna punch me. You know what I mean? Like that's huge.
Yeah, well, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
But I seen that archetype of trust play through. It's great. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. It's great. It's called Unbelievable.
Yeah, right down.
It's on Netflix, and it's like a 7-episode series, and it's about a young girl who gets raped. But she didn't trust the system, so she lied about it.
Unbelievable.
So she told like the cops, like, "Hey, I didn't get raped. I'm lying," right? But she really did.
Yeah.
And it follows this girl and these cops. So, spoiler alert.
That's all right.
And they follow the cops trying to catch this serial rapist, and no one's believing this girl. And let's just say at the end, the truth comes out about what happened. Okay. And the original detective, walks up to her and like, why didn't you tell me? Why did you say you lied? And she's like, I didn't trust you. And how do you expect me to be honest? Because in the series, they charged her with filing a false report.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and that's like that plays through with trauma and addiction. Like until I was ready to be honest about what I was dealing with and bring it to the forefront of my attention and my mind, I was just shoving it down, dude, and it was destroying my mental health.
Real? Like, were you the type that you're always positive, you hide it, or like? How did some people come on anger? Like how'd you know?
Anger,
yeah,
anger. I was an angry kid.
Yeah, like fights and shit.
My first fight was probably my first like real fist fight with no one like in my family or like cousins, right? Because like we used to beat the shit out of each other as kids.
Yeah, but see stuff like that. Like my wife always be like, well, what you do for fun? Like we beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's a thing now or
Yeah, dude, we used to whip each other with sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
you remember like open chess? I got expelled for playing open chess. Like people would run. Mm-hmm. We're like, "No, we ain't playing no more," and just like destroy somebody's shit. Like that's a terrible game, bro. Like that's terrible.
Slap boxing in the school bathroom.
Oh, bloody nose! It turns into a fight.
Oh yeah, you're smacking the fuck out of that kid.
Yeah,
he's your friend too.
Same shit, different school. Yeah.
and so I've been in many fist fights growing up, and anger. That's how I shown it, right?
Yeah.
And my anger was instant.
Yeah.
Right. So like I could be fine 1 second, and then instantly see red and be full of rage, and not know how to handle that.
Yeah. That's what you see a lot, especially like in men. You see like anger or like depression and aggression. Type of deal. But like that's what I mean. Like we fight so much. Like a lot of people get a lot of slack. Like men make up damn near 100% of all the assaults, all the terrible violent crimes. Like you don't see a lot of women shootouts and shit like that. You don't see like women in the bar. And I can't say it's all because we don't have places to vent or because you got to think like 200-300 years ago, there was wars and shit was bloody and like, we're a little tamed down now, but it's still like, even Toledo now, it like breaks my heart looking at like, just the violence. I go to a lot, like I've been to a lot of, like I've been around death, a lot, like the trauma and shit, like the way I feel like the anger is good. I always tell people like, not that you got to learn how to like use it different, but like anger is good. Probably like in the addiction field, mental health sense, it's like, like fuck the field so much that I'm going to become the best professional I can. Or it's like, fuck the field, I'm going to keep damaging myself, where it's inward and destructive. And that's the key, and like humans are sloppy, so like none of this shit is really like a science. Like if you got a broken tooth, they can pull it out. But if you got like a broken heart, like there ain't no surgery for that type of shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There ain't no CT scan for a broken heart.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. And then it's different because sometimes you gotta be like a man, like early on, rock bottom phase. It's going to get worse way before it gets better. Like you got court fines and shit, you got warrants and shit. Everybody hates you. Nobody believes in you. Nobody wants you around them. Like nobody wants you on their couch. Nobody once you get successful, then people will be like, oh yeah, I always do. Yeah, but really nobody cares.
They rip you off.
Yeah. That's all real big. Like I can open my heart to like a nobody for sense, like the people are going back to like the Reentry and stuff like that. It's like, how do you work with people with a record? And I don't work with everybody with a record, but like it's like I see the gap that's really there. Like I don't see a bunch of people get out of prison that are dangerous because real criminals are going to go back to that lifestyle immediately and they'll lay it down. Like people know what they like. Like that's always. Some interviewers are like, oh yeah, everybody, they're here for petty theft. I'm like, no, they're not. Like most people are not in prison for drug possession. Actually, they're there for, they might have pleaded out to some sort of possession, but they're there for trafficking or it's not. I mean, there are people like that. There's some good addicts or stuff like that, but it's really filled with some really dangerous people. I just interviewed on my podcast. I haven't posted it, but Ruben Miller. He's a professor from. He teaches at University of Chicago now, so it's like one of the most, Obama lived down the street or some shit. I don't know, I'm probably making that up, but it was cool. I wish I was Brock.
That's probably true.
Yeah, I'll be naming facts and don't even be looking up. But he was speaking on the whole thing of punishment, and I was in his master's class and PhD classes, so I'm kind of biased, know a little bit more. But it's just like the whole thing of punishment, like every felony being a life sentence, and like third parties being able to like punish you the rest of your fucking life. Like I was in 2010, I was convicted of drug trafficking of heroin, right? Which right before the epidemic, I didn't know all this shit was going to happen. I looked like a murderer, so I'm applying for jobs. I'm like, well, you sell heroin? And all you see in the article is all this shit, right?
Sure.
So yeah, my charge literally said trafficking of heroin. I don't know why or how I got that special deal. So, nobody can play it off. Like, yeah, I sell a little weed, but there's things called collateral sanctions, right? So these are like, going back, I'm not real big on like political bills or something where there's bills passed like kind of around the crack era that made certain shit, if you had a record, can't do. I mean, obviously, if you have a sex crime, you shouldn't open up a goddamn daycare. Like that's nobody's disagreeing with that. But I have a drug trafficking charge, which is pretty serious. But I can't open up a puppy shelter. Like I'm legally, Ohio is one of the most collateral sanctions. So there's two things you can get in Ohio. One called a CQE, which I have, Certificate of Qualification Employment, which helps you get licensed, like a chemical dependency counselor license or like a doctor's license, nurse. They can't ban you from getting an actual license. They can ban you from the job, right?
The companies can choose not to hire you, but you can still get a licensure behind your name.
Correct. But I would go back to is mental health the problem? There's a lot of problems with reentry. Like people don't have job skills. You know what I mean? So going back, I'm gonna get them a job. It's like, well, they've never done shit. So they didn't even finish high school. These are things that you have to kind of work with. So go back to employees that I worked with in the past. What I would do is I would subconsciously do this. I was, again, going back to I didn't trust the media. I didn't trust social media. I thought it was all some police shit. I got on and, started going in media, like a news outlet or something. I was just throwing the thing hey, hit me up if you got some jobs, if you want to hire my people. And, this was a fucking add-on to my job. This was not a fucking, a lot of people.
It was another briefcase.
Yeah, legit volunteer shit. I've never owned a temp service or had a connection. I generally want to get people employed, and then I'll be doing treatment or something. Now, I wasn't part of some grants back 3-4 years ago, but that was over. But the main thing there, that grant too, was pretty successful. I think we had almost 300 people. Only 2% recidivism rate. Feds tracked by the data, because you got to think they had W-2s that would show their income. Could just make up bullshit. We had over 200 plus people making over $14 an hour for 6 months. See, that's another thing too. Most of these programs will give you like you were saying, a shitty job, and then they look successful on paper. Everybody's working, but you got a grown ass man with 4 kids on child support. You're bringing home $13 a week.
Yeah.
It's that's not success. I never think that's success, or I did people complete programs success, but they didn't really do nothing. Compliance doesn't equal change,
So when you were doing reentry, the reentry work, what was the main driver behind that work? That was so you could, because you wanted people to have those good jobs, or because you thought it was necessary for people to be talking about those needs for their needs, or how did you even get into that?
Yeah. Let's go back, let's go all the way back, So my Nana, this sounds my Nana was a little lady. She was 4'11", one of my precious little, she actually fled, and I've never talked about it too much, but she fled Boston So a lot of people think from New York, like a mobster or something. This might where it actually comes from. But she was from Boston, fleeing, who was my grandfather, who was an alcoholic, and was in the Great Depression. And he was probably mentally ill. Going back to this, not saying this is right. He would like load guns and like put bullets in a chamber and shoot at his own grandkids. Like my Nana, 3 out of 4 died from alcoholism. My great grandfather, like, have all been in federal penitentiaries and stuff. Like the more I learned, like I was in social work school, I didn't really know this stuff. Like I knew kind of, but I started like do these things called like genograms, and it's not no fancy shit. It's just like a family chart, But I would look at all that stuff, and I would sit down with her every day and before school or whatever like that. She would always, typical grandmothers, blow your head up and stuff like that. She would always tell me about Jacob's ladder, right? Mm-hmm. And then Jacob's ladder is something in the Bible. They talk about someone that got in trouble, but they were like the ladder from God, right, heaven, down here. And I never really looked that up, but I always, I was talking about this with my therapist too. I kind of feel like I'm a servant, in a sense, like I'm the, like, not no weird shit, but like I have a vision and the power, like everything I've ever said I've done, So when I was incarcerated, I came home to a program called Correctional Treatment Facility, right? I'm in CTF, like you said, you go through changes. Like I wasn't trying to sell heroin no more, or do hard drugs, but I was going to sell some weed, because I could sell some weed. It's only felony 5. See, that's all the thinking and shit you do at therapy, but and I started seeing how they run these places, right? And there's a guy named Mr. Ford, right? Mr. Ford, Sam Ford, is a correctional officer, right? So I'm playing basketball, I'm out or some shit like that. And I always got to fight. But they let you work out a lot of stuff there. And he was like, man, it's not worth it. You got a lot, always talking like you got a lot of potential. And I was like, yeah, but you don't know how this is, that type of shit. He names off his prison number, A, blah, 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 blah. How each time you go to prison, they give you a 6-digit number. And I was like, you ain't go to prison. I'm just like in that type of mindset. Yeah, I did the worst thing a man could do. And I was like, what? So I committed murder. And I was like, you ain't killed nobody. He's like, yeah, I done tired with he named all the old school cats down in Mansfield, like Shawshank. And I was like, wait, you a fucking correctional officer? You convicted of murder? Like, and I was just walking around like that messed me up. Like, wow, if that dude could do that, I could do anything. Mm-hmm. Like when I was incarcerated, like not no disrespectful shit, but nobody thought I was going to be like, I'm legit dyslexic, right? I have mental health, ADHD, like a motherfucker. Now that bipolar disorder, like PTSD, like I've been through some shit, So at most they thought I'd work at Chrysler. Like that was the dream, like the dream of all dreams.
That's all. That's the Toledo baby's dream.
yeah. That's a whole nother podcast. But like, yeah, like I got my GED there, like I got my GED there. So I slowly started seeing like what was wrong with the system per se, right? Everybody knows the system's wrong, but like, my mind was like, be like heroin addicts die, criminals go to prison. Like there's no like, based on my family and history and stuff like that, legit seems like how it goes, right? And I would have been mad at working in no factory, but the more and more I started accomplishing shit, like I got my GED, I completed anger management, not that those are the things, but like my confidence started building up. And then I just really had this vision, and like I some spiritual tip. This is before CTF. I remember being in the county jail, right? I'm facing 10 years in prison for drug trafficking. I got a pretty high bond. A pastor comes, speaks to us. He's like, to me it was kind of funny. It's probably not, but he was like, yeah, I used to be a male prostitute. And I was like, what? What the fuck? And I was just thinking like nobody's paying you, dude. But whatever. No, he prays. He's a pastor. I've never seen this man again. I thought I found him a couple times, And it's weird because he looked like, the only reason I went to church is because he looked like the detective that fucking set me up. You know what I mean? like I briefly remember this detective, like I'm sitting in the seat, and this, I don't know how it happened, but like this dude was in the car, set, and I was like, that's him. I'm Keon, that's him. So I think he's in the jail, he's in the staff. I'm gonna go see. You know, like what the fuck, you know. Like they would just let that happen. I go to church. He prays for me. You know, I'm like, hey, lower my bond. I said something like, lower my bond from 75,000 to like 25,000. You know, it's talking shit. You know, he's like, nah, I'm gonna pray that your case gets bigger. It's better. And I remember like praying, you know, and like literally, like I was in the 5th floor of the county jail, Southwest, cell 9. I just remember, you know, like a weight being lifted off my shoulder, you know what I mean? Like, and I didn't really understand, but like, and you can ask people I was locked up with and shit. Like, I did have a sense, like, yeah, I'm gonna get it together. Like, I'm gonna get out. Like, most people have jail talk. Now, I've been through the system plenty of times. So, like, I was locked up as a juvenile. A lot of people, you know, I was connected, like in the streets. Like, I just generally knew a lot of people already, you know, in that type of world. So, go through, like, you know, going through stuff like, you know, Judge Zamuda was my judge, you know, and like I got 18 months, but seeing everything, you know, I could see it, the system, and I could see the gaps, right? Like most people just complain like it's rigged, it ain't fair. Okay, but what the fuck you gonna do about it? Like, okay, life ain't fair. Like, dude, you know how many times I've lost money starting a dream, or like, you know, just because, you know, or I've been fucked over, or like people have backstabbed me, or like, you know, it's like, it's just how it is, you know, it's just how it is. So I got into, as I got into CTF, you know, I started saying, like, what are you guys, social workers? Like, oh yeah, for real, you know, and I started seeing the groups and how they run. I'm like, dude, I literally thought I could change the system. Like, I genuinely felt like, you know, I didn't know shit about shit, you know. I just been in the system. So, you know, I see grown men, like the average reading level in Ohio Penitentiary coming in all inmates is 6th grade. You know what I mean? like shit like that. You know, like education, like I got grown men that like list their daughter as a reference on a resume. And you're like, that's stupid. But that's how people are living. Because you saw in that lifestyle, like
you don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, why the fuck would I know what a resume was. Like I went to UMADI, right? As a program, I got out. And I'm ruling, you know. Like Monica was my mentor, my love, like a second mom. But I remember the first day, she's like, "Who don't want to be here?" And I raised my hand. Whole fucking row behind us, like 20 people didn't raise their hands. She was like, bye, go. I was like, good, fuck it. You know, go back to being, like, imagine if they wrote me off that day and I just said, fuck it, go to prison. Like, this never happened.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been like that, you know? But I called my PO, Amanda Wilson. She was like, oh, yeah, you need to go back. I was like, all right, I'll give it, or go to prison. I was like, all right, I'll go back, you know? I'll take this class, you know? Their life changed.
See what's happening.
You know? So I remember sitting on my bunk bed and, like CTF, and I had this epiphany. Like this probably don't make no sense, you know, but to me it all did. Like I said to myself, Jake, if you don't commit crimes, you won't go to jail. And I remember thinking like I was the biggest fucking genius. Like, wow, like Jesus personally whispered that to me. You know what I mean? like, thank you, Jesus. You know. And I'm sitting there like, damn, because you know you get out like I said, I was just trying to sell weed or you know. Like credit card thefts was getting on the rise, just like how unemployment is now. You know, it's like shit like that. I was thinking, and then I thought like, yeah, I can't come out and get a better criminal. I could. I had connections all over the state. Like, and I'm glad like I didn't get out. Like as soon as I got out of jail, a lot of people I know were like dead, Fed cases like 20 years before you know it. So it's like I'm glad like I had a little break where I could make a decision to change. You know, and then. Just going through the experience, like I would be in CTF, you see so many people get readmitted, like so I would see thinking errors, and I would see like the system. So me as a social worker, like you have different types of social work, right? You have like macro, which is a big level shit, you know. Then you have like I'll give you an example, like macro, like how are we even in the field that we are now? I would say more the Affordable Care Act, right? Expanded pre-second conditions, and then there was a Medicaid expansion in the state of Ohio from Senator Rob Portman, I think something of that nature, right? So the field has blown up, you know, that's policy level. Then there's meso, which is like a community level type family level. Then there's micro, the one-on-one, you know? So I'm really good at doing all three. I would say my gift is like all three, seeing like the policy, the community, and the individual. Like, how does that all work out as one, you know? So what really got me working with people, it is a sick passion that I just feel like it's like a gift that I can't stop. Like, not just like reentry, but just like in general, like the housing shit or like treatment shit. Like, I just generally can't stop, you know? And how I got into reentry work at that time, I just see all this shit and I was like, I can do it better. Like, there's none of us in the field. I don't see no real fellas, I didn't know any of this shit. I didn't know my record could stop me or nothing, So when I first started doing it, it wasn't like getting people jobs. It's like my dudes get out of prison and I find a way to give some work boots, shit like that. Like, here's a pack of cigarettes. Like, that's what people think you got to start with the goddamn $1 billion building. But like, I got people like, oh, I want to help. I want to do what you do. I want to help people. It's like, well, you could get a fucking loaf of bread for $1 or $2, put peanut butter jelly, right? Buy some bags and hand out sandwiches to homeless people for less than $10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like no matter what level of life you are, like you have to have that same amount of energy. Just like saying when you were broke, like even when I was selling weed, like the mission was like, I hate to say it, but like the mission was there. Like even my wife died like when I was 14, 16, and she about to be 18. You think you run the world? I was like, yeah, I already had a vision. I sell 2 pounds of weed a month and pay the rent. Don't worry about it. I was always dedicated, just on the wrong type of shit. So yeah, I just feel like it's my passion, more than anything.
I also think that, like, when we talk, like you said, skills. Like, people don't even have skills, and that's me, man.
Yeah.
Like, do I have skills? Am I smart? Yeah, man. But I learned to read because of pleasure. I remember I got suspended, right? I got suspended the first time in like 5th grade, right?
Yeah.
And I liked reading because if I didn't want to talk about or listen about what we were doing in class, I would just grab the textbook and just start reading what I wanted to read.
Yeah.
And learning. And so they suspended me. And of course, there got to be consequences and punishment at home, for my mother when I got suspended from school. And she's like, you can't, go outside. You can't go take your bike anywhere. You can't watch TV.
Yeah.
You took it all, right? And I was suspended for like a week. And I just grabbed up a book and started reading. And my love for information and reading grew. And so, I got my GED as well.
Yeah.
I dropped out of high school.
How did you get your GED?
So shout out to Penna Career Center.
Oh yeah, beautiful program. Yeah.
Yep. And for me, especially when we talk about having these skills necessary to work, the biggest skill that I have is the willingness to learn and communication.
Yeah.
I know how to talk to people.
That's it.
And on top of that, I've when I'm looking back at where I was at and like where I've came, I was just faking shit to make shit, right? I like.
You think that works?
No, but I knew what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
And so, but like you said, like people wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
Right? Like Jay can be a factory worker, but licensed social worker, businessman, that's not.
You're never fucking man.
I had to carve that image into myself because I wasn't that, right?
Yeah.
And neither were you, but we had to like, even if we had those thoughts of insecurities into our head, I had to be like, all right, this is what I am. Yeah. And I wasn't nowhere near it's what I was, and so I think that's what people lack, man. It's just an understanding of how to fit into society. And not only that, man, when we talk about reentry, man, it took me a long time to learn how to use money in the right way.
For real?
Yeah, to learn how to use money, to learn how to save, right? Yeah. I paid bills by cash for a long time.
Yeah, that's that stop and go shit. That's that cash here, pay here. Yeah, like financial literacy. That's definitely one of my next. It's huge. Yeah. And
back when I was living with females. Here's the money, and you pay the bill. Right? Yeah. I never paid a bill. And if I had a checking account, it was just so I could get some money of this check that I received and I could cash it and pull it out, right? So as I'm coming into, society and I'm not, I'm low economic, but I'm trying to be better. You know what I mean? I don't know how to fucking manage a checkbook. I don't know how to write a check. I don't know how to pay bills on time. And it's a daunting task, right? That wasn't even taught to me, that I had to learn. And that goes to say, when it comes to skills and jobs and in general, like, some people don't even know how to act at work and what's work appropriate, and what's not work appropriate, right?
Yeah.
And that's not, if we're talking about felons and people like me and you who are living off the streets, when I came into recovery at 22, it was F this, F that. I'm in public talking like this.
Still like that,
yeah. But I don't even realize how crazy I sound when it's coming out of my mouth. I think it's normal, right? It's normal to talk about, shootings or, what I did on the street or all this stuff.
Yeah.
And because that was my life.
Yep.
Right? And for me, that's what took the most work, is changing that thinking, right? And like you said, it's hard to just tell the motherfucker, be positive. Positive thinking and still changing your life.
You gotta show people, like, people be like, like, Jake, make a resume. I'm like, cool, what the fuck's a resume? Like you said, I know it, like, shout out to my wife, but I know how to write checks. Like, I thought that shit was like police shit. Like, I legit remember my first job, I had like $1,200 in the shoebox. Like, fuck the bank. Like, I think I might even have my mom put like money like in her name. Like, I'm just thinking, like, because the counter, like, everybody said I owe the money and shit. Like, my thinking was kind of different, but like that's all real bit. Like, my new initiative, right? I just launched revitalized behavioral health care, and my whole approach is different. So I got to sit with the state, hypothetically I created all the policies, I created all the programs, like the mission criteria, the exit criteria. Like, I really put, like, a lot of time. Like, I'm down, and I got an amazing team. But I got to sit and really put programs together that, like, help the social skills shit. Like, sit down and that's how I started my career for real. I used to work at a place, and I started running groups, and slowly but surely, the worst clients in this agency, they just started putting them in my groups, right? So all the other groups are like nice people in recovery. They're like polite and shit, and have jobs and shit. The high-end users,
the functioning addicts of the world.
Yeah, like I'm teaching them how to make a resume. And I remember one of my groups, they making fun of me. They're like, Jake, I'm a nurse. Like, one dude was like, financial guy. I remember right off the rip, one guy was like all of them made quadruple what I made, and I'm teaching them how to make a resume, because I'm used to working with people from the streets, like straight poverty and shit. But this is how I kind of launched my book. So do what you're doing, like keeping that side dream. I started a group called More Than a Statistic, right? So when I was in jail, like either in CRC or CTF, there's always like this big Bubba dude who's speaking down your throat, like, only one of you motherfuckers will make it. And I always had the mentality, like, why aren't we all that one? I never took no fucking survey. You know what I mean? Like, we can all be that one. I don't think like that. I never think like somebody's not gonna make it. You know what I mean? Like, I might hear some shit, I'm like, that's not smart, but I'm generally always pouring into someone. Trust. I trust. Like, trust is an inside job to prove me wrong. And nobody ever gets over it. We go back to the trust and the feeling shit. All that goes back down to is like, you feel like you got fucked over. You helped somebody and they did that. Mm-hmm. So quit taking it personal. Fuck, what was I just saying? I know it's whatever. My bad. Yeah, I know I was getting into something. But
no, I'm just sitting here absorbing, dude. I'm like a sponge right now.
Yeah. There's a couple things I heard say that. So one, I'm a learning machine, right? So I'm like a freak, right? So I'm dyslexic. So I never read a book until after I graduated school, like college. Like, I never bought textbooks in school. I just memorized shit. So I don't know, like in school, I don't get it. Like, when I'm in the lectures, like, people, I don't understand a lot of that shit. Like, I gotta like do it. Like, men typically learn different too. So I gotta do it. So, somebody would tell me, like, Reentry shit, like, oh, well, you can't do this. And I just start researching. Like, that's one of my pet peeves when people text me, like, something that's like, you didn't even fucking Google it. Like, you didn't spend no fucking time, And like, I had big mentors in the field, like a guy named Dr. Morris Jenkins. He just became a dean in LA. He was a convicted felon from Detroit, older black gentleman. So when he became an attorney, it was right around kind of like civil rights time. So on top of all the other shit, he was going through challenges. Yeah. He came and spoke, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't like the police." And I'm like, "You're the police, you know, you're, you know." And he's like, "Nah." And he told me a little bit about a story. It reminded me, there's 29, 27-ish people in this room while he's telling the story. You know, I was the only one to be like, "How you do that?" You know, he's like, "I train police." I'm like, "That don't make no sense," you know. And he got me into college, right? They taught me how to feel fast, right? I chose my mentors, like people that I wanted to be like, even in the college or even like in the community or even like a celebrity type person. Like I read their book, like I would leech on, like, and I was a freak, like, you know, I would go to every meetings, like I would read, I go to seminars, like I'm still like that too, like, you know. So going back to my new initiative, Revitalize Behavioral Healthcare. I want to make access to care. Like I feel like my people never get stuff, so we have stuff in the community now. You know, we meet people where they're at. You know, we're just, you know, we're new, but we're not new. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so it's not like a hard thing. You know, but the whole thing was to give your health back. Right? So the whole initiative, like, we revitalize you to give you your health back, right? When my partner Tiffany always says, it's like, you know, nobody comes to us broken. You know, people always say, we're not here to fix you, right? You know, it's like, none of that shit there. You know, we tend to give you therapy or services that you do. So, you know, again, I'm real big on, you know, everybody coming in, getting their needs met, you know, and doing some untraditional, like, therapy, you know, for people that have never been before, you know?
It's really important, man, because, you know, when you were explaining the different levels of social work, man, and the one you said you like the most is also my favorite, and I think the most important, which is those micros, right?
Yeah.
That person-to-person level. And past that, it's community-based, man.
Yeah.
Like, for me, being a part of people who were, I mean, I was a degenerate in society by societal standards, right? Homelessness, desperation, a criminal at times, a heroin addict. I sold drugs in the past, you know. So I check mark all those boxes, right? The most important thing for me was having that person or community in my life in place, because I didn't have a structure. Like, I didn't have the foundation to build a structure. I just didn't. So when you were talking about, you know, mentors, it's really important because I got to look around who my mentors were before I knew what a mentor was.
Who's some of your big people, like who helped you out the most?
So when I think about who helped me out the most, there's you know, there's people from Hollywood and there's also friends. I think
Hollywood.
Yeah, like people who would be called B-list or A-list celebrities, or
they helped you out?
Intellectuals. In my mind, they did.
Oh yeah.
I know,
that's
their
awesome.
mindset, you know, and that would probably be. I really enjoy Jordan B. Peterson's book.
Oh yeah, 12 steps.
Yep, 12 Rules for
12
Life.
Rules for Life. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I started. I used to be a dirty motherfucker, dude.
Sorry?
I literally, I could clean, but I would just let it get to the point where, like, it was just, everything was dirty, right?
Yeah.
And instilling something so simple like making sure my room's orderly helped me out so much, right? Yeah, it just helped me out so much. And then there's, like, historical figures that I look back on, like Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Yeah.
He's not like an all or nothing, like, evil or good guy, but there's, like, good traits in him.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's sitting there, he's crying because he realized he's like 32 and Alexander the Great already did way more than he did.
Yeah.
Right? And he's sitting there thinking, like, man, if I don't cross this Rubicon now, I'm going to disband my army.
Yeah.
And the Romans are going to fucking persecute me and they're going to kill me. And so, like, you know, Carpe Diem, seize the day, you know, he sees those moments. And so and when I think about my friends, man, they're usually people in recovery, because until I was able to stay sober, my life was going to remain fucked up.
Did you get treatment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have to go through the whole detox, everything?
Yeah. I didn't even know there was treatment available. and I got it.
Never even heard that shit.
Never even fucking knew.
Yeah, I know exactly what people are like. I remember seeing shit like, damn, you got what? You got this? You know? Yeah. So you got the tree. Yeah, that's funny. I never been through like I've been through like psych wards in like correctional places, but I don't think I've actually done like an IOP or like a detox or PHP or nothing like that. I don't know if it was like that back then.
So I was actually court ordered to go to treatment, right?
Oh,
so
Toledo judge?
No, I was out in Sylvania.
Oh,
because I got caught. I got caught with drug possession.
No play.
So they sent one of my terms for probation was to do IOP somewhere, right? But I never did it. What ended up happening is like right during the installment of DART, when DART first came around in Lucas County.
Yeah.
Right when DART came, they just came knocking on I was homeless at the time, and they just came knocking on my hotel door, and they busted in.
Wow.
And so they offered me. They were like, "Do you want help?" And I was just I was sitting down, and I'm just like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like this is actually an embarrassing story, but I'll tell it. I'm strung out. I was with my.
That would throw you off guard. Like, what type of punk is this?
You're talking about off guard, right?
Yeah.
Off guard. I was naked.
There we go.
I was naked with the mother of my child in bed, and they busted into the hotel. There's a boom, boom, boom. Lucas County Sheriff's.
Wow.
The door opens.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there with my pants off, and I'm like, "Where's the fucking warrant?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, "We don't need a warrant. We already got the keys." You know what I mean?
See how that works.
And so I'm like getting dressed in front of these two Lucas County Sheriff's officers, and they're just talking to me like, "Hey, yo, we got some reports about you that like you're on drugs and people are worried about you."
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And they're like, "Do you want help?" And I'm like, "Help? For what?" They're like, "Drug treatment." And I'm like, when? They're like, "Do you want to go now?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
I was like, "How about tomorrow when my hotel is up?" They're like, "All right, we'll be here at 11 a.m. So I had no expectations. I didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, they just showed up at 11, knocked. I had my bag packed. They took me to a place. They're like, "There's detox."
Where'd you go?
I went to Zeph.
Okay. Yeah. Back like when I was using heroin, it was only like 8 overdoses, I think, in 2010. Like that's now it's unfortunately, it's like skyrocketed. But there's only like 12 detox beds about 10 years ago.
No, that there was maybe double that when I went in. Like there was not many services. I want to say the first time I went was 2015.
Yeah, that's 5 years ago. Shit. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't really I wouldn't say like it wasn't like a thing and like nobody cared. It's just like I kind of feel like we kind of got out. We started speaking for ourselves and advocating for ourselves, and real big. So going back to like, why is a job matter for a felon? It's like because you need purpose, like you need career. Like to me, that's always been big, helping people find a passion. And like, if your money's, I don't care what they say, but if your money's not right, it's like nothing else falls in order. So I know once I get somebody a good job, generally the rest is pretty easy. Like I never I'm sure there has been, but I've never got somebody like a really good job and they worked hard for it, got a skill, got it and they screwed it up. Like not like I personally, but I've had the privilege of working with many people, but the shit you're saying, I was showing up at dope houses and I'm in the neighborhood and not no like police shit, just like, we here to help. The bulk of my work has been a lot more drug traffickers, I would say, gang members, people that have done a lot of time. I don't know. I don't really deal with the suburbia niche. I don't know. Not a bad thing or a good thing, it just is what it is. So it's like I generally feel like if I don't do it, nobody else will. Because like you said, go back to the trust in the police coming. Like I remember being a kid and CSB get involved, and they called me a liar. Like I'm making up false accusations from a hospital or something, or I'm making up shit. And I remember being in that first workshop, and I have to look DART members in the face. I've never been a DART, but I'm just like, yeah, fuck law enforcement. And I was just getting my workout because it's like you motherfuckers never had our back, and again, we're taking one trust incident and applying it to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So when I get into treatment, I got all our guards out. Like, I don't expect somebody to be tattooed and, you know, have some tattoo, you know, face piercings and being like a genuine dude who like gives a fuck about, you know. So mostly in the field, it's just like just showing up, one, which is, that's how success works, just showing the fuck up, you know, and two, doing what you say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't overpromise shit, you know, but like literally showing up. If I tell you I'm gonna meet you somewhere on a Sunday, I'm gonna meet you somewhere on a Sunday, you know. If I tell you I'm gonna get you in a program, I'm gonna get you in a program, you know. That's it, you know. Not too complicated, you know.
It's really the follow through, man, and there's something to be said from 2010 when you first started doing this, and started, you know, dipping your feet in the water, right?
Yeah.
To now, which is, you know, whether you knew it or not at the time, which I didn't, you know, I think you had a vision like you were talking about. The best people for this kind of work, right? The best people to go knock door to door and talk to gang members and talk to drug traffickers. Because I was on the streets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might have been copping heroin, but those fucking dope boys were buying my goddamn Percocets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they would call,
I knew that was a trend coming too. You know?
And so I know for a fact that you know, even though, you know, you might have drug traffickers, they're on drugs too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These gang members are on drugs as well. They need mental health services. They need recovery. And, you know, and I'm not trying to talk down on social workers at all when I say this, right?
Yep.
By no means, by no ways, because there is stuff that social workers know and do that I cannot do. But one thing I know that people like me and you are made for, is to deal with those people.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Is to go and say, hey, this is who I am. You know, I'm here to advocate for you.
Yeah.
Because me and you used to not have a voice or a say on how it was. And there was
excited. Were you excited like when you first started speaking? Like, just even fucking speaking to like treatment people, I thought like I won the lottery, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For sure. I go to a group and if I like, there's some days of course where like you just don't feel like talking, right?
Yeah.
But like days where I'm like in it and I'm in the midst of it, man.
Yeah.
I just feel it after the group for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, after 3 hours of it, I'm just like, oh, I feel this, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's changed, you know? That's what's really changed is that there used to not be many providers that have accreditations, that have a licensure behind their name with people who've gone through similar experiences as their clients, right?
Yeah.
And now we're getting to the point where a 6-year degree doesn't separate me from an addict or an alcoholic or someone who has 3 felonies or someone who's been to prison or someone who has mental health. That's not a separation of boundaries anymore, right? Hey, I was right there with you. I was in Lucas County Jail eating green bologna, smelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're in Lucas County, do not use the deodorant. Use some soap on your armpits.
Yeah, bird bath.
The deodorant will make you smell worse.
That's fine. I said that a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I'm about to take a little bird bath. My wife said, what are you talking about? I was like, you know, when you were just nothing never been to
and that's the key, man, is like people like you, man, you know, you're opening up doors for other people. Regardless, if we leave the door cracked, dude, someone's going to walk through that door. Yeah. You know, and that's what's cool because I couldn't picture that in 2010 because I didn't know this was a thing, you know? Yeah. I know this was a way of life.
How old are you now?
I'm 27. Well, I'll be 27 January 16th.
Okay, don't be lying on the podcast.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to. I was in my head.
27 and a half.
Yeah.
26 and a half. Yeah. No, that's like, you know, go back to what we said, like opportunity is created. Like a lot of these programs, you know, probably undermining like shit I've done. Like early in the field, when I got all my like degrees and stuff, I went all the awards. Like I went like anything like in this community, I'm pretty sure I went all. Like not like saying that in a bragging way, but like if that's what I'm based, like that shit don't mean shit to me.
Right.
Like what means shit to me, like when I'm speaking at a random place, you know, and you know, one day I'm training teachers. And a guy comes up to me and he's like, dude, you saved my best friend's life. And he was just crying in the middle of the hallway. And I knew exactly what he was talking about, you know? And I don't know, I just had the spiritual thing. I just knew the dude he was talking about. Like I could just tell or you know, you know, you get the you get that text like, hey, I got a fucking job, or I'll get a text like, Jake, the way you said "fuck me," talking shit to me, it got me going. Like I've never seen anybody like that. Like. Matter of fact, I had what was it? I had somebody one time, I'm speaking and stuff, and somebody's like, "Damn, you they threw me off guard. Like, you have a master's degree?" I said, "Yeah, I got a master's degree." Like, you don't look like you have a master's degree. And I was like, "Thank you." Like, that's why the fuck I did it in the first place. Like, like this is abnormal, So, like the degrees and shit has nothing. I mean, kind of, yeah, but I mean. The shit I could be doing, I could do without a degree, but it's like, it's like I did it for them. You know what I mean? Like anybody come, like I'm class 2011, 2010, whatever, correctional treatment facility. So like, I don't know, but like to the fuck ups, I'm a legend. You know what I mean? Like anybody else, I don't really, I do care. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mean like in a cocky way, but like, like my wife would see me all the time, everywhere we go. We're in the mall, it's always somebody, they face tatting and shit. Like, what up, Jake? I got my shit together. One time, we're at the park, and a young little dude I worked with, going back to the group I told you, more statistic group, where I started pouring everything into that. I go to shake dude's hand, he has like a half ounce of weed in his hand, I dap his other one. My wife's like, he's got weed. I was like, yeah, he used to shoot people and shit, So, like, I think the community should be thanking us,
Yeah.
He got gold teeth and shit, go back to the financial shit, when I started that, the group, and it kind of launched like my book and everything like that, like I brought every resource to people, and I don't have that mindset like, oh yeah, fuck it, lead the horse to water. It's like, now I'm gonna jump in the fucking water with you and drink it. Let's go, because like you said, you don't trust people. I'm not gonna invest my time in something, and like when people are hungry and shit, like their IQ drops. Like most time you're in therapy, right? People in anger management will say like, breathe through your nose, breathe through like. Count to 10, right? But they never fucking explain why you're doing that. The reason why they explain is because when you get pissed off, you lack oxygen to your brain. And it lowers your IQ to 30 points. That's why we punch a fucking wall. And we're like, that was stupid. Now I got paid for it. Like my hand hurts. Because now you get a little bit more conscious. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just, something in me that like has to like hook everybody up, like not like a guilt thing or like I generally
no, the best game is free.
Yeah. I give everybody all game. Like people call me, so I've learned not to pour like. That's one thing I've learned. Like people will match my energy, and I think they fucking serious. We about to start, like, but people can't match my work ethic though. Like for real. Like, and I know your work ethic just from hearing you. Somebody calls you in the detox. You don't have to go in, but you probably help them stay there. That's a really daunting task, like that you don't have to do. But then I know other people. I look at young kids. I'll give you an example. In college, we had a report. That we had to interview somebody politically, right? So this is how I got close with criminal justice people, right? I'm like 20 years old, and I was like, are judges political people? Like, yeah, they got racist, right? So all the students were bitching, like, oh, we got to do this project. Man, I interviewed every fucking person, just made up the project, right? Knowing, like, I'm meeting people that run for mayor at the time, Jack Ford, who passed away, like, who just became the chief, Mike Navarre, who just came cheaply, like those people I'm going to interview and shit. And I'm like, oh, by the way, my name's Jacob Spellis. This is my story. And every single one of them said, I'll give you a job when you get out. Not that I took any of them, but like, so when you sit down and get real with people, going back to like, I generally feel when you're doing the right thing and your heart is pure and your intention is pure, like shit will work out, generally, and again, it wasn't like I had like great therapist, but I did have, like you said, Monica Allison, who was in recovery, and she was like just got out of women's prison and like would call my mom if I fucked up. Like she crossed a lot of like boundaries, but like that nothing like bad. But that's the shit I needed.
Yeah. Like
for somebody that's like Christmas, she giving me gifts and always keeping me in check. Like she would always say, like, I don't care what they say about you, Jake. I got you regardless. And I kind of take that mentality. Like I might be working with people, they whole fucking family dogging them, and the court's dogging them, and the baby mama dogging them. I'm still in that corner. They're my client. I mean, I take it real serious. I've lost a lot of people during COVID. I'm sure you have too. But I lost real close people. Like I know their fucking moms. I bring them flowers. That fucks me up inside. Why you take that? Because I generally feel like I can stop it. I don't have a mindset of starting a treatment center. In my opinion, I don't know. But, most treatment centers, they go wide, right? Which is good. Medical places too. Wide in patients. It's how the systems play. But me, I'd rather double down. I'd rather have less people and double, you be in the field and they give you 70 clients on one caseload. It's how can you, all my clinics, I promise you, will be 5, 10, and I know how to work it.
How can you provide adequate services to someone with 70 people on your caseload? At the end of the day, you might, when you're talking about that, and me and you both love people.
Yeah.
I want to give everyone every ounce and every fiber of my being if I have to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I got 70 people on a caseload, I can try, but there's just times where I can't.
Yeah.
And so, before you came over, the reason why we're doing this podcast, not earlier, is because, I go over to the PHPs and IOPs on the weekend, and I run the groups there because when I'm in detox, I see the same faces so many times, right?
Yeah, you never see recovery.
I never see it. It's always
you burn out.
Yeah, but it's always the bad stuff. So I go there for 3 hours, 6 hours on the weekend, man, because I get so pumped seeing people doing well, doing good in their lives, doing something with themselves, right? I only see the horror stories, so
I like that. Yeah,
and it's the truth, man. I think when you said micro treatment is the best, can you imagine those Big Brother programs?
Yeah.
I had a father. I just wasn't interested in anything that my father liked.
Sure. Yeah.
So the things that I gravitated to as a young child was with what my friends were doing, right? We're riding our bikes, we're smoking weed, we're doing all this shit that people told us not to do, right? And I can only imagine on that micro level having someone, whether you know it or not, people are looking at you, right? Mm-hmm. People are ascertaining and judging you when they see you. And if someone sees something in you that they can gravitate towards, that's something to push someone forward,
Sure.
And there's not enough to be said what people-to-people services can do for other people.
Yeah. You never know the amount of work, I say all the time, I feel like a teacher. I've been in the field, 9 years, and I've seen people's kids coming down. It's what the fuck, I used to, and for me, going back to my new initiative, we launched Revitalize in the middle of a pandemic, right? So going back to shit was supposed to shut down and all that stuff. I doubled down, a hardship should never be the reason why you don't succeed. And it's easy to fail at something, but it's just about family now. Success ain't really, but really you're just saying that shit because you might have failed. But when we started this, we had no deficiencies, right? So the kid who can't even write and shit, I did all the assessments. The state wanted to use our language, going back because I know the whole thing, right? So when I do a diagnosis, I know somebody what's the real story, what's that? So I have all this knowledge, I got a master's degree, from one of the top colleges, University of Michigan for social work. So I went to school with people from Harvard and fucking, Yale and all type of professors, crazy stuff, a whole, I was definitely around. So I always use my influence and my, resources to help people, so giving back free game. I'll tell people what I'm doing generally, cause not in a mean way, but people have to find their own path, but people don't fucking listen. I see people on social media will ask me how to start a limited liability company, which takes no fucking work, right? And everybody says, well, once I get a bank loan, then I'll get a lawyer. Then I'll start. It's dude, that's not how it starts off. Just like selling drugs. You can have no drugs You still make a profit. Oh, you need a quarter of weed? Bad, right? You sell the quarter, shit like that.
Wholesaler.
Yeah. That's what I tell people all the time. Like, I take like drug terms and turn them into like investing and shit like that, right? But it's like I spoke to you for like 45 fucking minutes and you didn't do nothing. Then you've asked 4 times on social media how to start one. Like that's the skill you don't fucking have, which is that initiative. Like success comes from doing. You know what I mean? Like happiness is a byproduct of living right. Like most people say you're lucky. Like you're gonna do 1,000 episodes of this podcast and then you're gonna blow up. Like, okay, I was lucky as fuck. It's like, nah. I spent many Sundays, did a lot of scheduling. I failed. I was on Adobe Pro, whatever, 8 hours. You're gonna lose money, But I always say, fuck up plan B, right? So in recovery, they're like, oh, well, I don't get sober. It's like, nah, fuck up plan B. I don't give. There's 40-something plus treatment centers. If you fail, call another one.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in because they didn't. No, then you call another one. And it's the same. So when people ask me, and I rarely say this just because it's kind of like comes off really harsh. When people say, well, what did you do, Jake? And it's like, I mean, I'll fucking tell you, but I don't think like there's not peaches and roses. Like I went to Humidon, made a resume, and walked down Rose Street and worked for free. And that's how I got Gino's pizza job. You see what I'm saying? Like I walked into a college and I showed up. I showed up many meetings. I've helped many people without ever getting a reward. I spoke 500 times to schools, shit like that before I ever got checked. Like you couldn't stand my work ethic. So a lot of people that are around me, oh, Jake, you like this, and it's just not like it's more than work ethic. It's just like we mission driven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm mission driven. So go back to revitalize. Like my next moves, I'll tell everybody my next moves. We got the outpatient facility. I would say, probably by the end of the year, I'll secure a building. I have everything in house, a wellness center per se. I'm thinking like 100-bed facility. I'm speaking into existence, not because the numbers thing. I'm just doing the math. There's a survey that went out from Case Western that if all opiate addicts would get treatment right now in Ohio, only 18% can get served.
Yeah. It's and as we talk about this, that's the key, I think, for me, man.
Yeah.
Is a safe, structured environment for someone to grow and to learn and to be able to fail and make mistakes.
Yep.
And you talked about success, and I want to tell you something. Just last time I met with you told me Rich Man, Poor Man.
Yep.
I read that book.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed that read.
Did I ever buy it for? I think I never bought it for you.
You didn't buy it for me, but I went out and did it myself.
Okay, good. See, I kept bullshit, and then like I would sign it up and not swipe. I think one time I had a new debit card. Speaking about ADHD, and the expiration date changed. You get a new card, and I just fucking like would give up on life and like, man, fuck you, Amazon. But
and there's something to be said about success because this is like I was telling you before the podcast started. This is something I wanted to do. I've been listening to podcasts since I can remember.
Really? Like a long time? Yeah.
Yeah, but just like on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Or before there was any streaming platforms, before there was, a big push, because, honestly, the podcast market, there's millions of vloggers and YouTubers, right?
Yep.
But the podcast market is actually is niche. It's niche, and so it's actually it's planned to grow exponentially throughout the next couple of years.
They say, what niche is this?
So I put this under comedy and interviews. Right.
Oh, yeah, good.
And as we talk about this, right, 4 years ago, what was stopping me from doing this? Because I wanted to do it 4 years ago. What was stopping me? Because it wasn't money, because I had money, right? It was the fact of I wasn't willing enough to save money for this, right? I had the vision, but I didn't go walk down Monroe Street and work for free. And in every facet of success in my life where I've had an ounce of, hey, I completed this goal. Hey, I had some success doing this. Yeah. There was some of that hard elbow grease, blood, sweat, and tears in anything I did, which was once I have the vision, once I want to do something, because there's motherfuckers out there, they will give you the best idea, right? They will give you good free game.
Yeah.
And it's like, then why are you doing that?
His ideas are like shit. Like, fuck your idea. Like, not in a mean way, but like, everybody has the great, like even Corona, right? Everybody had the fucking gear, the plan, but you didn't do shit, right? Oh yeah, but you weren't running it. You know what I mean? Well, if I was running like treatment, people give you like there's a word for that too. Like people give like an easy fix for like society problem, like addiction, right? People always, if I was running, it's like you don't
just don't do drugs.
Yeah. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't even. These problems are so complex that that's going back. Elon Musk always says shit like that. You get paid in proportion to the problem you solve, right? So I always tell people get out of jail like if you fix a fucking brain or put mustard on a hamburger, what do you think they're gonna pay? Nobody ever got a heart attack and be like, can I get a coupon or fit? No, they fucking fix you. You know what I mean? Like, there's no negotiation. Like you got medical bills you're just talking about. You know what I mean? Like they just fucking do it. And sometimes I move too fast. I didn't have patience and stuff like that. But even if, like you said, they say an idea. Why aren't you doing it? Yeah, watch people's moves. Watch people's initiatives too much. I always struggle with that too. Like I give too much because I used to be manipulative and crazy in the street life, like no conscience. That I would struggle with that balance where I'm like all in with people and forget that people ain't that serious either. So it's like, why did I do some of this stuff? I always tell people to start. Like I got so many. You probably have so many people reach out to you. Like I want to do this. Like I wrote a book in 2016.
What's the book called?
More Than a Statistic, Stop Being Average. It's just like on every online platform. But like I pushed that book. Like I didn't have Facebook until that book. So I just sold T-shirts. Like people fucked with the mission. Like there's nothing special about a T-shirt. It's a T-shirt in a logo, right? You go to like Fiverr.com and you get a logo for like $5. But when you first start shit, you're gonna pay a graphic designer fucking $17,000 for a logo. Then you're gonna pay for this editing. And it's like rappers like the Baby made their whole album off an iPhone and then tuned it up a little bit, like get the shit out there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like nobody's gonna listen, and people are gonna hate you regardless. Like they're gonna talk shit whether you win or lose. But when you mission focused, like shit I'm doing now. And people are like, I didn't really think. It's like, well, I told you a couple years ago. Why didn't? You know what I mean? And there's a saying, there's a couple sayings from Nipsey Hussle. I always keep on mind.
Shout out Nipsey.
Yeah, I feel like the whole world been fucked up ever since that happened. But the true hustler always prevails, right? Like so, all these people that said shit like in my career and all this type of shit. It's like, dude, I don't need your validation, nothing. I'm a grind regardless, no matter what season it is or what we going through or all that type of shit. It's really about being tenacious. Somebody called me tenacious one time. I didn't know what that meant. I thought they were trying to like shit out me and stuff, and it just meant like you do whatever it does to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel. Like fuck a plan B. Like if we gotta do this tonight, like even with the state, I still feel like I have that. Like the state coming in, like this is crazy too, right? I'll tell you the real story. Like 10 years ago, November 5th, 2010, I got sentenced to prison, right? November 5th, 2020, the state came in and Oregon certified me, certified me in the agency. 10 years later on the date. It was like crazy.
Jeez.
They didn't say shit about my record or nothing. I kind of felt like where I'm at now, it's like, I like going back to my vision, I'm gonna figure out that housing piece, so people can like own their own homes. There's a lot of ethical dilemmas in that and shit. I think we kind of texted a little bit, but I was like, I got a good idea how like I can get people on their feet. Like I'm not a big fan of like just kicking people out and shit like that. I'm gonna make sure people get together, get their bank accounts, and I'm real big on the mental health piece, like restoring social skills, right? So I got a good vision where, like you said, there's counselors with 80 caseloads. I'm gonna stick my case manager with people, one-on-one working with you, fill that application, make sure you get to probation. I'm just real key on that, and that's my vision. I'll start owning other stuff. I want to get into like temp services. I want to own a coffee shop, but I don't see that as like a huge profit thing,
No, but it's a labor of love, right? Like we're talking about little projects like that, and little things, man. Like that's just passive income. You know what I mean? Just things you do because you want to do it. And we talk about people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and any great thinker or entrepreneur you want to bring up in American culture right now, and that's coming about, right? They're working on their main business ideas, right? Like Jeff Bezos is working avidly on Amazon, but there's things behind the scenes that Jeff's working on that no one knows about, and that you know what I mean, that's not brought to the light. And I think that's what's great, man, because like there's got to be growth and change for success. You know what I mean? You gotta have some type of growth, some type of change to implement some success in your life, and then, but doing it as you were saying, right? Just getting to it is part of it. Even if you fail, even if you got to get back up and retry it again, even if you lose money on it, I'll never forget this feeling I had. Right? I started this. I was like 3 episodes in, and I was laying in bed. And I was like, I should just delete it.
Second guessing yourself.
Yeah. I'm laying in bed at night and it's consuming me for an hour. I'm just like, dude, I should just delete this. No one's gonna listen anyways. Who really cares? And it's not because someone told me those things. I was telling myself those things. Right. And when I talk about success, man, it's really just getting down there and doing it, man. And I don't want to keep you for too much longer, I
got a little birthday. I gotta go back to the office. But
do you want to shout out any of your businesses, websites, any social media?
No. No. Just follow Cameron. No, I mean, people find what I do. I'll shout out my podcast. I got the Stop Being Average podcast by Jacob Spellis on all streaming platforms. We got some. I'm slacking on that too. I gotta get uploaded. You can follow me on that. In Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat is all Jacob Spellis, Spellis. It's a pleasure to be on here. I think they're good discussions to have. So many people just give their opinions. Which could be true from their story, but it's like it doesn't push the needle forward. And then we live in a time where people can't have simple discussions. Like people are scared to say certain shit. People are nervous, like you say, it could be rejection or something like that, or you don't know if people's intentions. So it's a really goofy time right now. I hope everybody's safe. I think it's January. What's the date?
3rd.
Yeah, and everybody just have a good 2021. Remember last year, at the same time we were talking big boy shit, and then Corona came. So, when it's bad, it'll get good. When it's good, it'll get bad. Flat out. And it's an honor. Thank you for having me on the show. Hopefully you'll be on mine. I'll be on yours again.
All right. Well, thank you for coming by, man. I really appreciate hearing your words. And dude, I'll have you over anytime, man, with water bottle ready.
Yeah.
You can follow Agro Labs podcast at Twitter on Agro Labs, and you can follow us on Instagram at the Agro Labs podcast. Thank you, guys. Stay agro, stay safe, and keep listening.